This is my 2015 Porsche Cayenne S that I recently bought at auction, and when I did buy it, it didn't look like this. Some of you may have seen in a video on my main channel where this was stolen by ram raiders who then ended up parking it in an Asda Express. They smashed the rear quarter light, put a strap round here and tried to pull an ATM machine out of the Asda Express, but luckily for me, a pyro fuse seems to have gone off and cut the engine. The problem I'm left with now, other than the obvious, is that no one seems to want to foot the insurance bill. The MOT centre from where this was stolen don't want to know about it whatsoever. My insurance obviously aren't going to take liability because it wasn't on our premises. So I feel like we're only really left with one good option. We're going to rebuild it. In today's video, we are going to try and get this running again. Ben is going to look at the pyro fuses, maybe get the seat out to get to the battery and figure out why all the electrics are dead in this car. And we're going to strip off all of these damaged panels so we can get underneath and find out just how bad the damage really is. Find out actually if it is salvageable at all.
So we need to get underneath this seat to see if the pyro fuse is there. There's a couple of challenges with that. Obviously we've got no power in the entire car, so we can't control the seat back and forth to get to the bolts. I'm going to start by disassembling this seat so I can get to the bolts that actually hold the seat in, because right now it's slid in such a way you cannot get to any of the 4 bolts. So hopefully with this side trim off, and if I take a couple more trims off, I might be able to get to the seat motors. And I'm thinking if we grab one of our top-on jump packs and just feed it a little bit of power, we might be able to control the motors back and forth to get to those bolts. Of course, get the seat out and see if the pyro fuse is blown. So the seat was so low I couldn't even get my hands underneath to try and get onto the motor, but I could just see with the torch the colours of the wires coming out of it. So I've come back to this plug here and I've commandeered some 3-core cable from an extension plug and identified the wires in the plug here. So with a bit of luck we should be able to run the motors back and forth to get the seat out of the way of the bolts so we can obviously get the seat out. So let's give this a go. Hopefully I've got this right, otherwise it would spell disaster. Let's have a look. Ooh. Oh, we're off. So there we go, that's the seat all the way back, so we can get to the front bolts now. And now we're going to reverse the polarity, and we do that just by switching the 2 wires over on the same plug, and that will run the seat all the way forward, so we can get the bolts out the back as well. And we'll get the seat out and see what's going on. As we are coming forward, and the seat belt has been pre-tensioned, so we are really pulling that seatbelt tight now. Right, so that's as much as we're gonna get. So the issue we just ran into there is the seatbelt is so tight because the pre-tensioners have gone off that it now sounds like a guitar string and we can't get the seat any further forward. I'm hoping that's gonna be just enough to slide a socket down the side to get the bolt undone. Although I can get onto this back bolt, I still can't get anywhere near that bolt on the other side. So I'm going to try and go backwards again and hopefully get the seat belt off the side of the seats to allow it to move freely. So we've revealed a kind of spring clip here. So let's go backwards just to take even more tension off of that bolt because I don't want it pinging in my face. For those of you who might find yourself in this situation, it is the red and blue wire on this side and the blue wire on this side, which is the second one in. Okay, that is a little less pressure on that now. Let's see if we can get that clip off the side. So at this point, I can't get the seatbelt off because there's not enough slack in the seatbelt. I've got 2 options. I can try and find the right wires in this plug here to raise the seat up, and hopefully that gives me enough slack to undo this clip. And or I could just cut the seat belt because, you know, it might be more cost efficient just to put second-hand seat belts in it versus having these ones reset. We'll do the cheapest option first, see if we can find the wires in here. If not, I'm probably just going to cut the seat belt. Right, so it looks like we've got a purple and red and purple wire on the other motor. So, jump back on. So what did I say? Purple and red and purple. So we've got a red and purple on that side and a purple this side. This one into the red and purple. So that's given us a bit more room now. Still not quite enough to get the seatbelt tensioner off. There is another motor on this, which runs this drive screw here. So I'm going to try and find, in fact, if we can see it here, we've got a green wire with a red and green stripe on it as well. So let's find that in the plug. All right, red and green is the third one down, and we're on our way up. Now we might have a chance. If we come all the way forward with the seat, that might now give me enough room to get to the bolt on the other side. Let's see if we can just about get to that bolt on the other side, which we can. Right, that's the seatbelt off. If anyone is curious, V4500 Plus available on insideline.shop. Use the code Ben10, and that I've ran cars off of that. You really shouldn't. You lose your warranty, but you could if you wanted to. But it will start absolutely everything. Right, let's tilt that back like this. Now we're getting a first look at the kind of battery cover. Now this is cool. So because this carpet has never been cut before along this line, that means this is the original Porsche battery, which is kind of nice to see. So we'll get our jolly old pocket knife out and we'll cut the carpet and get to the battery. So they give us a pre-formed line to cut through, just a couple of little tabs. So we'll cut that one, go all the way round. Obviously be careful not to cut any wires, that wouldn't be a sound idea. And there we go. So that is the battery compartment. And I believe the pyro fuse kind of assembly is going to be somewhere on this side of the battery in this assembly. So we'll unplug some of this seat stuff here. Pop this trim out. It's a couple of plugs. So this may or may not be it. I've never replaced a pyro fuse on a Cayenne. But I believe if I were to switch that from here to over here, we might get some more power. Now there might be some more fuses under here that are blown. There might be a more substantial fuse somewhere. We'll pop a few covers off, but one thing I'm hesitant to do is just reset the fuse or bypass the fuse and leave the airbag module plugged in, because if the airbag module was thinking, oh, I want to do the pre-tensioners and some curtain airbags, but the pyro fuse already blew before I'd had a chance to do that, I don't want to then reconnect the battery, wake up the airbag module, and it goes, I need to set the curtain airbags off, because that would be obviously extra costs on the rebuild and probably really up my ears. So I'm going to have a little look for the airbag module. I believe it's in the center console, and if we can unplug that, I'm happy to give this a little go and toggle this switch. So I'm not 100% confident on this, but I believe the pyro fuse is somewhere underneath this center console. And I'll hold my hands up, I have never taken one of these center consoles out before, so go a little prod around and see if we can find any Torx screws or anything like that. Right, so there might be some screws under here maybe. Obviously you can see two here. So they're on the end of this cup holder. So let me go grab some tools and we'll figure it out. Already looks like this little panel is loosening up. Right, okay. That's that little cubby hole out. Let's have a little rummage around. Now I could be wrong, it could be somewhere totally else in the car, but this is where I believe they are. I know on the 911s and the Boxsters they're in the center console. Now, usually when you see a bright yellow plug like that, that usually means airbags. So let's unplug that and take a look at the pyro fuse again. I think I have to press this tab, open that up, pull it out. Just going to stick my head in there now, see if that is. So that was the airbag module, that is now unplugged. So now we'll hop back down underneath the passenger seat and see if anything turns on when we start playing around with some switches and maybe bypassing some fuses. Now of course I had my suspicions on this big one, and I think that was actually set into the correct position already, potentially. So let's lock that off like that. Let's pop a few of these covers off and reveal a couple of these fuses. So this is it. This gets a signal from the airbag module to blow the fuse. So the theory is if we jump this in some way or another, we will be able to get some power going through this car. So I've got some other battery stuff disconnected here. So what I'm going to do is disconnect the earth cable to the battery, then we'll bypass that fuse, bolt all this kind of fuse board kind of circuit back down, and then to reconnect the earth to hopefully restore power to the car. So if you're ever looking for a quick way to like disconnect the battery, maybe for a bit of welding or something, if you pop this little panel open here, there is the main earth cable for the battery. So you undo this bolt and then you can turn power off. So that's the earth cable disconnected. Now we'll find some way to bypass that fuse. I'm thinking if we unbolt it, we could then maybe get just a little bit of steel with 2 holes in and just plonk it in its place, but we'll have a little look. In fact, I can already see a little game plan coming together if I've got enough slack on this wire I'm looking at. Let me get this fuse out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You'll see that we're still on the trailer with this car, and that's because I refuse to push it off. In my mind, I just want to get this thing running and drive it off. And there we have it, that is the pyro fuse. And I think we have a Volkswagen part number on that one, so instead of going to the main dealer and probably paying an absolute fortune, I think we could probably go to TPS and get this much cheaper. So the fuse sat here on these 2 posts, obviously triggered by that plug there, which goes back to the airbag module. So what my hope is pop this one off of here and try and get enough slack on this cable to come all the way over here. Doesn't actually look like I'm going to be able to get enough slack on that, so what I'm going to propose we do is bolt this back down here and get a jumper cable from that post all the way back over to this one that I showed you how to disconnect, and hopefully that creates a circuit and we get some power going. We'll have to go find some jump leads now. So obviously no idea what's going to happen here. Could go all drastically wrong, but we'll give it a go. Alright, brace yourselves, I'm going to stand back just in case the airbags pop off. I think I've got a better understanding of where that earth wire goes. Thought initially it went from there around to this earth strap, but I don't think it does anymore. Let's grab this cable, come around here. Got those 2 on there. And now, see what happens. I think I did briefly hear something there. That's not to say that the battery hasn't gone flat. We do have dash lights. I can hear the subwoofer going. I don't want the airbags to go off, but I think the jump pack's flat, you know. We do have no fuel in the tank because there's a hole in it, and I was hoping there was going to be a little something in the lines. Joe has joined us. So,
Hello, I'm here for the glory, but you probably just had the same thought I've just had.
No fuel?
There's going to be no fuel in there, is there?
Yeah, so we could pop the fuel filter off,
Okay.
and just pour some diesel in the fuel filter just to see if the engine runs.
Okay.
But should we just see if there's anything left in the lines?
Give it a go.
With 2-part problem here. The jump pack's flat, so we'll get the longer jump leads on there, and then maybe we'll just grab some diesel. Right, I need a vehicle here.
I've got an 8.6 with a 3.2.
You go bring your nugget over then, Hamilton, and we'll see what happens. Nah, we haven't. It's not delivering the juice. Half the issue here, the jump cable we're using to bypass the pyro fuse probably isn't delivering enough earth. So I've got a bit of strap here, still, and I can see that those two holes loosely line up. So I'm going to try, with limited tools down here, we're going to try and buzz through and open those up. Then we use the angle grinder to cut it down and then hopefully bolt it in place of the pyro fuse. And there is our pyro fuse, if it fits. Right now it is totally behaving like a flat battery. So we were only messing about for 20 minutes or so, and I think we learned a lot, but the jump pack we've got is flat. So it's a bit late in the day now. So Joe's gone off to pop that on charge, and we will come back in the morning. Hopefully the jump pack's fully charged, and we'll see if we can actually get this thing started, or at least turning over, because we know it's got no fuel, but turning over is good enough for us. So join me tomorrow morning. And welcome back. It is now the following morning, and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it is what, 25 degrees already. I think we're in for a very, very hot day. And I've left the battery charger going on overnight, but it's not taken any charge. It's still at 11 volts, so I think this battery might be goosed. But we're going to take this cheap and cheerful Chinese battery charger off. We'll get our top-on jump pack on there. And I think the mission right now is just to hear the engine turning over. There's no oil, you know, that's leaked out of the engine, so if we can hear it turning over, I'm pretty confident once we get that diesel tank sorted, we'll be able to start this thing. So yeah, let's see if we get it turning over, and then we'll start doing an assessment, see how bad this car actually is. There's every chance something else might be going on, battery related, you know, with the pyro fuse and whatnot, but we'll give this one a shot first. See if we get anywhere. Still got that funky bass noise from the speaker. I don't know what that's about. Okay. So that seems like a bit of a stronger crank, doesn't it? But it is cutting out, but... Right, I think that's the issue we're facing. This battery in this car is absolutely kaput, so we're going to need to get a new one of those. Well, I'll call that a little win. We've obviously bypassed the pyro fuse, and with our big topped-on jump pack on there, we can hear the engine turning over, the radio's working. I think we'll just get the windows up, just so we're not worried about it getting wet in here whilst we're working on it with the rain and whatnot. Even though I don't think it is going to rain, it's such a lovely day today. Let's do that. Let's get the windows up, and we'll wait for Joe to turn up. We'll get it off the trailer, and we'll start stripping the body panels down and see just how bad this Cayenne actually is.
Sheesh, yeah. Oh God. Rear, lower arm. Got a great big hole ripped in it. Part of the rear subframe here has been bent round.
We got lucky here. Little noggin off the diff has just been knocked off, but it's not cracked anything.
Yeah. The exhaust is, I mean, you could do a little weld up to make that work. The actual shape of it doesn't look too bad.
Don't think these are too bad in the grand scheme of things. Or you've got a little aftermarket option on there.
Yeah.
You know?
Do sound good with it.
These subframes are 10 a penny, so I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. Obviously, we're going to need a diesel tank. I've had a look on eBay, and they're like 800 quid.
Yeah. Not cheap, are they?
Not cheap.
But yeah, that's the cover for our diesel tank, which is ripped off, and that is where these holes are. So that would be that bollard that they went over, and that's what's done all that damage there. Some signs of it scraping. Actually, it's the worst. Well, sounds really stupid now, think about it. The worst of the damage is at the back. But saying that, they had driven over that thing all the way. So they've even hit this rubber, like with the exhaust clamp thing, they've kind of like ripped the plate metal off of it.
But off the top of my head, I don't know why my mind's gone blank. I can't remember where the air suspension accumulator is, but there is an aluminium tank here with a hole punctured through it.
How was there?
So that could be part of the auxiliary diesel heater system, or that could be the air suspension accumulator. I will have to just jog my memory on that one. But
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
It's not like, there's not too much of worry that's bent out of shape. There's bolt-off parts.
We're going to have to obviously chuck a subframe in it, but that's not the end of the world.
All the important bits, the diff, all right, not the fuel tank, but gearbox, engine that we originally thought, obviously where we saw that stream of black fluid coming out, we thought that would have come from the engine up the front here, but clean as a whistle, it was barely being touched. There's a little bit of red paint which has been transferred off of something where they've gone over whatever. By and large, the front end's been okay, isn't it?
I am pleasantly surprised.
And if you look at the crash bar that goes across the back, it's obviously taken some damage, but it hasn't really even gone as far as doing much with this exhaust. I don't think. I mean, obviously it's scraped up underneath, but that doesn't seem to have shunted in too much.
Of course, if you're being fussy, you could replace this, but you're totally right. If you did patch it up, that is a fully functional working exhaust. I wasn't expecting this, if I'm honest with you, but again, these subframes are 10 a penny. They're not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. Obviously going to need 2 new lower arms. I wonder what the upper suspension on the front's like. Because we first thought that in the pictures that the suspension might be damaged, but the wheels all hanging straight and through.
I think the damage here is going to be like so minimal, and this is where, so the upper arm is snapped. You can see it's cracked right off the top of the wishbone.
Yeah, so that was my worry when I saw the pictures. But I mean, the mounting point of that arm doesn't look damaged at all. It looks like it has thankfully it's made out of aluminium, it's quite soft, just broken the arm. Yeah. Obviously it is holding on for dear life.
Bad news would have been the way that post was in here. The probably reason it is because that got hit that way, it's put sideways torsion on it, which would probably be good news because it bolted like this.
Yeah.
So that would have saved probably the mounting. It would have just sheared off. So getting in here, taking these bits of trim off, seeing what's underneath this wing. There's not really too much to go wrong in there though, is there? If you take out the suspension side of things, we thought it might have gone further in here, but I reckon we get this wheel off, I'll start stripping down this front wing. Yeah. See what's in there?
I'm optimistic. Obviously under there is a upper chassis leg, but it's not that far pushed in, is it?
Right, just getting ready to take this wheel off. If you look how loose that wheel is, where that wishbone has snapped there, which would have attached onto this bit. But as we were saying, that is bolted in sideways. None of that's bent. That looks absolutely perfect. So I think it's just had a big shock. This has been shunted in like this. It's had nowhere for it to go, so it's sheared off, because you can see it's such lightweight aluminium, it's almost like plastic. Our lever sensor is completely broken, which would have more than likely dropped the suspension anyway. Be interesting when we got a fuel tank on it and get it running, whether the suspension will pump up or not. Wobbly. Oh, no, it's okay. What do you reckon? People are going to lose their minds seeing me on the tools. What?
Well, they don't know. Well, they've never had a chance to witness just how capable you are with tools. To them, you're just a car dealer, but you've got some good track record, haven't you? A good history of custom motorcycles and all sorts.
I try and tell them, Ben, but no one believes me. They just think I'm a big fat plumber slash car dealer. And they're right. But I know my way around a tool set and a welder. Lovely. One arch liner out. Imagine we're going to have some on top, are we?
Yeah, so we've got a row down the top here. For getting the actual wing off, I'm not sure. I think what we'll have to do is just pop this corner of the bumper off, and there might be some around here. Yeah. These headlights are super easy to get out as well. Yeah, and 3 here. So there's one about here, one in the middle, and one at the bottom, and you get to those kind of going in that way.
Right, so that is the bulk of the fixings off. There are literally just 2 T30 screws in here, but they are behind this, what I assume is, yeah, the washer reservoir. Look how crushed up that is. We've got a hole in there, but it's just been flattened in. That would have been, obviously, that's where this post has pushed in. We need to get into those from here. I don't really know how you do that with all that stuff in, unless maybe we need to bend this out a little bit. We'll ask Ben, he's the Porsche expert.
Yeah, so this is obviously just the headlight washer tank. We'll pop that out. I think it's only one bolt and then it's on two kind of push fittings, so it's all got to come out anyway. Turn that should come out. Then I will grab a pick, get that out of the way. There's that gone.
I've got the bottom one, so that's that.
That should just be
okay, yeah. Just
held
make sure
on
your
with
head's
seam sealer.
Easy as that.
And wow, didn't we get lucky?
Very.
Not even.
Like chassis legs perfect.
Not even
crushed little bit of plastic bottle.
Not even a scratch.
Yeah, we're looking at this where it's snapped off. Looks like a new one will go in. Perfect. It's not bent. It's not even bent where it mounts onto, which is quite a thin, flimsy bit, which is surprising, really. I think it's, rather than pulling or whatever, it's pushed up. When they've hit that post, it's kind of pushed around and just snapped it off.
Yeah. Well, all that structure is really heavy-duty steel, and these arms are flimsy aluminium.
Yeah, you can tell. It almost looks like plastic.
It does, yeah. So I'm pretty, obviously we'll do a full wheel alignment once it's done, but I'm pretty confident, at least for this area, upper arm, wing, tank, and that's probably the extent of it. Headlight didn't get broke. They're expensive.
Yeah.
This bonnet doesn't even have a mark on it. So providing we get the wing all lined up, this is slightly bent here. Nothing a little persuasion with a hammer can't fix.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to get all the panel gaps. Perfect.
So that is this corner. We know we've got a fuel tank on the way, and we know maybe we're going to need just some, if you looked at crash bars and stuff like that. The next biggest hurdle is getting that boot open, getting the boot off.
Yeah, thankfully we've got an ankle grinder. That might be the only way that thing's coming off.
The universal key. Safety first, safety second. Safety always.
There's the motor there.
Now we've got power, have we tried even just opening the boot? Like, will it at least release enough that we could lift it? I mean, basics first.
And the survey says right, let's keep cutting them.
Easy peasy. So ideally, your boot lock wouldn't be touching your spare wheel.
I think we're in for a replacement rear panel, potentially.
What, like a boot panel?
Yeah, just this rear structure across the back. I think we're not really gonna know until we get the bumper off, get that out of the way. We'll get the crash bar off, and yeah, potentially an inner and outer skin. Put your welding skills to the test. So low down is not actually too bad, it is just where the hinge is. So it does make me wonder, could maybe a body shop put it on a jig and just pull out the top half and get all that straight? This here must be glass at the shop, as you can tell because it's clear, whereas the glass that come out of the car is factory privacy glass and it's got this green hue to it. Grand reveal.
Wunderbar. Yeah, it's kind of like we expected after having seen it. None of this looks any problem at all, do we? That looks quite dramatic from outside, but now it's there. That's not that dramatic, is it?
Just said something very similar to Toby, that low down is not even that bad. It is just where the hinge is.
I reckon they'll just weld on things and just pull that out.
Yeah.
So much less
we
work.
know a body shop willing to take this on, provided I can get it rolling, started with the fuel tank and everything.
Yeah.
We'll drive it onto the trailer and take it over there.
The actual floor pan of it, it hasn't been affected.
Hasn't touched.
It's just this backside, isn't it? And that's come in 4 inches, something like that. So it's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, I know a garage, I want to say BDS, they will like get their dozer thing on it and just bosh it out. So I definitely know someone who will pull that out for us. Most importantly, that's not the end of the world. Even if there's like, when you look down in the, in the boot well, there's a bit of a crease. It doesn't matter as long as you get it back in the right place.
Yeah, I think if we give them
the new boot attached.
New boot attached, so they can pull out the small dent in the roof, get all that nice and mint, and then they've got something to work with then, haven't they? Because they can see the panel gap line down here, and they'll know then how far that has to be pulled out.
Considering how dramatic it looks, I can't really understate how lucky we've got, really. Because the fact that the exhaust is still in the right place, there's no mucking around with that. What is this, just a heat shield for the exhaust? It's a bit mangled, but still.
So this is a bumper support bracket, but it's also removable.
Okay.
So we'll source one of these,
Yeah.
and that will give them some datum point to work from for how straight this needs to be as well, because this is steel. So we'll pick up one of those. I'm I'm happy.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot worse. I wasn't expecting the subframe, but they're not that expensive, so that's not a total deal breaker.
At the beginning of this video, I said we want to get this running, get it off, assess the damage, and we haven't got it running, but we're both 99% confident this will run when it's got some diesel. It just hasn't got any fuel. We've already got a fuel tank on the way, and we can order some bits and pieces here, wing, stuff that Ben will probably make a list of. I think we've had a pretty successful first session on this, and we can get it back together quite easily.
Could have gone the total opposite way. We could have got this on the ramp and realised
they've ripped the whole underside to pieces, everything's bent.
And it just wasn't worth it, but this is absolute best case scenario. This was, for how bad the damage looked. I'm absolutely chuffed, and I'm excited. Well, I'm excited just to get the fuel tank in it, because once we hear that engine running and the upper arms on, body panels or not, we're driving it around the yard. Yeah. Really exciting.
100%. So that will be it probably for this video, because we can't get any further until we got any other parts. We'll carry on with cleaning it up, but you don't want to see that. But make sure you subscribe and like this video. There will be a follow-up within the next 2 to 3 weeks when we are chucking panels on and getting this kind of ready to roll again and get yourself down to the body shop. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Massive shout out to Ben for helping us out with all his tools and doing all the work, really. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.